Hello and welcome. I am Stacey Thomas, author, ALS advocate, film producer, and talk show host. I'm here to motivate, educate, and entertain. Join me on YouTube every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Stacey Thomas Talk Show, where we have powerful discussions centered around health, relationship, careers, and everyday conversation. Follow me on Facebook, I am Stacey Thomas. On Instagram, Stacey Thomas Talk Show. And don't forget, I can promote you too. Email me at iamstaceythomas@gmail.com. Now, it's time for the show. Hey, everybody. This is I am Stacey Thomas. Shout out to all of you who chose to spend the evening with us on IG, YouTube, and Facebook, and to all the listeners who will hear us on WYAD 94.1 Mississippi and on the newest and the greatest radio network that has been created, conversationsradio.com. You can watch us here and on the other platforms. And tonight, here we go again. God has blessed my platform with another awesome individual. We have Sonja Keeve, right? An international Amazon bestseller, author, speaker, podcast, and business consultant, dedicated to helping women transform their passions into profitable and purpose-driven platforms. She is the CEO and founder of Sistas with a Voice podcast network, where she empowers women to build visibility, influence, and opportunity through podcasting, media, and storytelling. Wow. Let's welcome Sonja Keeve. Hello, beautiful.
Well, hello, Stacey. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Sweetheart, listen, Stacey was told years ago to follow you. It's Sonja Keeve that's out there making big moves and got people referring Sonja Keeve to other people. You holding conversation with somebody, you talking about being inspired, and someone says, you should follow Sonja Keeve. So thank you for blessing my platform.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This thing you have with women, it's one thing to say, I wish my sister's good. I'm praying for you. But you're one of those people that's actually what I believe when I say, I'm going to do more than pray for you. I'm going to trust God to do his part, and I'm going to do my part. Where does this first tell us exactly? I can't sell you. I don't need to keep talking about you. What is it that you're here for?
I am here to help women to amplify their voice, to stop waiting for permission to speak, and to be able to change the very atmospheres they walk in simply by opening up their mouths and sharing who they are, what they do, and how they serve.
Wow. And when you choose to do that, to put yourself out on the line like that, I like to ask people, is this something that you learned from talking to other people? Is this something that you figured this would be a challenge for me to make myself feel good? Or is it something that you were led to do?
I was absolutely led to do this. For me, the journey began way back in 2015. I had gotten laid off from a job that I loved, thought I would be with forever. And when the job was taken, I didn't know who I was. And I found myself in a place by myself contemplating who I am, who was Sonja, because for me, I thought I was the corporate titles that I had earned. And when your whole identity has been rooted in the thought and idea that climbing the corporate ladder would lead not only to success, but lead to your greatest aspirations, no one prepared me for when the job gets taken, then what do you do? And in that moment of shock, in that moment of embarrassment, and in that moment of what I felt shameful, I went on a 40-day fast. And I remember on my knees after I cried for probably 7 days. And I said, God, I don't know what to do next. All I knew was to just work hard, keep my head down, do what was asked of me, and it wasn't enough. And at the end of that 40-day fast, God revealed to me Ephesians 5:2, and he told me to walk in love. And I didn't know at the time what did that mean. And I remember a former colleague of mine had created a t-shirt apparel line, and I used to go on social media and I started posting inspirational messages. And I mainly did it for me to kind of give me a space to heal. But what I was finding was that people were being inspired by what I had to say. And at the end of every inspiring post, I would end it with hashtag walk in love. And we put that saying on a t-shirt. And when I went out in public, people would walk by me and go, well, not a lot of people do that. Can you tell me a little bit about what this means to walk in love? And what it opened up for me was that it allowed me to share my story of how, in the midst of a corporate layoff, I was tasked with inspiring others to perform a simple act of kindness and to pass it forward. And I thought, okay, I can do this. And the message really exploded for me. And this led to me hearing from God to say that I've called you to inspire a nation. And it was going to, I was going to be the representative to show others what it looks like to walk in love by performing this simple act of kindness and passing it forward. And we've seen it happen all over the world where folks would get in like Starbucks line and pay for somebody's coffee. Said I'm passing it forward and I'm going to pay for the person behind me. And usually in those moments, that is when we as a country, we'd come together because we had a common goal of just performing this simple act of kindness. But I didn't know, for me, that simple act of kindness would have led to inspiring a nation. And in 2018, I created my very first podcast show entitled Inspiring Nations. And this had come off the heels of me becoming a part of an anthology called Women Inspiring Nations. And I was one of 25 women. And the visionary author reached out to me and had been following me since 2015 and had seen my posts and seen everything that I was sharing. And she said to me, I really think you would be amazing to share your story. And the funny thing was, I didn't think I had a story. And I was like, I got laid off from corporate America. That happens to everybody, but it wasn't the fact of me being laid off. It was the fact of the resiliency to not give up in the moment when I could have quit and given up on myself. And that empowered other women who were going through this or had experienced this, and they were watching me become this resilient person to smile, to inspire others, knowing that I no longer had a job. How could I stand up and smile? And so that led to a series of events. And in the moment, I was extremely bitter. But later I learned it was definitely for the betterment of blessings that were to come that I had not yet realized.
Wow. And I've heard someone say one time, how dare God give you something to share with someone else or to bless with someone else, and you keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
And here's Sonja teaching women to become visible and to not be ashamed of it. Why do you think it is so important for a woman to be visible and to speak out and tell their story?
I think it's so important for women to share their stories because there is healing, there's transformation, and there's blessing in sharing your story because there are women out here who probably feel like they're the only ones or like
Right.
no one's gone through this but me. And when they discover by you sharing your story, me too, that was me, there becomes this community that is created. And for me, I didn't realize how much I was seeking community, because I thought, oh, okay, I'm doing well, I'm working, I'm doing all the things, checking off all the boxes. But then when I was laid off, there was nobody around. And I was like, I don't want, I don't want anyone else to feel this. Like people saw the highlight reels, but inside, on the outside, I was broken. I was going through some things. And thank God my husband and my children really were my support in moments when I really wanted to give up. And what I thought I was shameful of really became the catalyst that helped me to help other women to rise out of their situations, that this moment that was happening for them wasn't the end of the story. It was just a chapter in their lives for something bigger. And when women shared their stories, I started finding, number one, they were healing as they were telling the story. And then think about, because they shared it, my show allowed that story to be heard globally. So there were women around the world who were feeling like, oh my God, I've been through this. And if she could get through this and come on the other side healed, then I too can do the same thing. And that reminder that God shared with me in 2015, that I was called to inspire a nation, that's exactly what started happening, because every woman who shared their story got healed, got delivered, got free. That message went out in the world. And just by just the healing touch of the voice, which is so powerful, it created moments for people, and it created a movement where women started to say, I need to tell my story too. And I was honored that I got chosen, because it's a huge responsibility to bear, but it was one that God knew only I could do it and carry it. And so when I hear other women creating platforms to help women to tell their story, that's exactly why Sisters with a Voice podcast network was birthed, was to help women to amplify their voice, to build, launch, and monetize their own podcast shows in 30 days. And because guess what? It doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it does take the courage to take the first step. And what is that first step? It's having the courage to open your mouth and share your story, because you never know who needs to hear what you have to say.
That's right. That's right. Sometimes people have a tendency to be even more depressed when they think, when they don't have anyone else that they
Yes.
know who's going
Yeah.
through what they've gone through, or who would understand.
Right.
You've reached, from what I've read, you're inspiring nations. It's interesting because it's been being heard in over 164 countries.
Yeah.
And now I have to say, there's a big smile. You're on Facebook and you're excited. Congrats, because now you have Lead Her Shift on
Yeah.
virtual TV.
Yes. Yes. Uh, Again, another moment I never saw coming.
Okay.
Um, a gentleman who owns DX Virtual TV was scouring the platforms to find people who were sharing amazing content. And he'd reached out to me and saw a lot of the work that I was doing across social media. And he thought I absolutely would love to talk to Sonja to have a show on the network. And for me, that was definitely the next evolution, was to get on television, because I've had my audio podcast since 2018. And for years, people have said, Sonja, you need to do video. And I was like, no, I don't want to. I'm good. And they were like, no, you really need to make this shift. And once again, me and God had a conversation.
A conversation.
And I was like, I was like, okay, let's see how this looks. And so the network reached out to me about the idea of potentially having a show. I was really excited about the idea, but what ended up happening was, through our conversation, and when he saw the work that I did, because he just approached me because he knew about this show, the podcast show. But when he realized I had a company and I was teaching people how to do a podcast show, he said, wait a minute, we need to have a different conversation. I need you to be a channel partner with me. And so I actually have a channel on the network. It's called the Leadership Collective channel. And so we're curating content for women to create shows in the leadership space. And so I came up with the show idea, Lead Her Shift. And so it's a play on words of lead her ship. And the idea is, what was that defining moment when you realized you were no longer an individual just existing in the world, but that you were truly a leader in your own right? Because the evolution of the podcast show, it was an amazing show. And I didn't know that there would be a time where I would kind of move on from that, because that was my baby. That was the thing that I loved to do. But I recognized that even I was going through a shift just in the spaces I was occupying and the new spaces that were yet waiting for me. And so we launched Lead Her Shift on May 21st of 2026. And it has been such an amazing journey of this premiere show, and honored of so many of the guests that have so far come on to the show. And now this channel is on Roku TV. It's on streaming platforms, and it is amazing. And the first time I saw the show, sitting in my office and seeing me on television, it was all inspiring. And I remember thinking back, if you had told me when I would get the pink slip in 2015, that almost 7 years to the day that I would have a television show, I would have never believed it. And God just reminded me once again, when I tell you that you were going to inspire a nation, this is how this happens. And it's still continuing. But I'm so excited to offer this platform for women to share their stories once again, but now in a space where I see these leaders. And you don't have to be a leader by title, because see, that was the mistake. I thought that you weren't a leader unless you had a title. No, I tell women, you are a leader if you are leading in your home. You're leading in your community. You're leading in your church. You're leading with your children. You are a leader. And many of us as women, we have been born leaders, but we might not have had the opportunity to spread our wings. And through our lived experiences, we continue to show how we lead. I mean, heck, we almost had the chance to lead this country, and so little girls all around the world now have this vision of seeing, I could be the president of the United States one day. Like, that's not a dream so far off. That is something that absolutely can happen. We're seeing women lead in our local races and our Senate and Congress. And so this conversation is important for women because for many of us that may have had to have a second act in life, right?
Right.
Many of us, that's why I get excited when women have their own platforms, because for many of us, including myself, a lot of this didn't happen until COVID. When we finally discovered, well, wait a minute, what is it that I really want to do? And so now we get to lead however we want to. And so having your own platform, whether it's through a podcast, through radio, or even television, it's important to be the master of your own platforms. And so if you can figure out how to do that, this is the best way to do it. And so I'm proud of you because I'm on your show. And so
Thank
this
you.
these kinds of things have to continue to happen because it's important for women to stop getting in our own way and
Right.
decide, listen, I can do this. I say all you need is just the commitment to want to change the lives of the people that you're called to serve. And so I'm honored to host Lead Her Shift every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on DX Virtual TV. And of course, I'm definitely looking for women who want to have their own television show someday to come onto the Leadership Collective channel, and let's start curating content that's for us, by us,
Right.
and really take the airwaves to the stratosphere.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Francesca Felder, thank you for watching. Greetings, ladies. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Swag Her magazine. That's Swag Her, SWAGHER. There's no space. I'm a media personality for her. Also, they celebrate bosses. They celebrate women such as yourself. So thank you for watching, Fancy. That's what we call her. Cyrus Webb, my publicist, shout out to you. Thank you for watching. We're going to take a short break before we end the show, and we'll be back to find out exactly how ladies can connect with you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb.
And I'm Stacy Thomas.
And we want to invite you to the Power of Presence Summer Edition that's coming up on Friday, June the 26th, and Saturday, June the 27th. We're coming back to Petersburg, Virginia. We want you guys to be able to join us for not only some great classes, but also for a book fair that's going to be taking place on Saturday, June the 27th. And if you're an author that would like to be a part of it, we do have limited spots available. So make sure you guys contact Stacy to be able to reserve your spot. You can get your spot for the book fair for only $75. We have limited spots that will be there. I will be there signing my books. Stacy will have her books, and we want you guys to be a part of it as well. Again, the Power of Presence, the Summer Edition, coming up on Friday, June the 26th, and Saturday, June the 27th. We hope you all will join us there.
Thank you. Thank you for that. This has been great. Before you go, I want women to know, before you let us know exactly how we can contact you and follow you, what will you say to the woman that is sitting there that knows she has a story, but Sonja, she's too busy listening to people say, keep it in the house, or nobody wants to hear it? Why should she contact you?
She should definitely contact me because my question is, how much money and impact is being missed because you're too afraid to open your mouth? And it's important that if in your spirit you have known that this is something that you want to do, there's a story that's in you, it's so important to get it out, because we only get one life to live, right? And we can spend either the next several years of our life wishing we could, or we could start making the impact now just simply by saying yes and opening up our mouth.
I like how you say it so calmly. Yeah, you're convincing us of what we need to do. How do we follow you? And should someone have that story and you have convinced them that it's now time to tell it, how should they contact you?
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you, Stacy, for having me on your show
Thank
today.
you.
Um, yep, you can connect with me. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Sonja Keeve. That's SonjaKeeve, V as in Victor E. Or you can visit my website at www.sonjakeeve.com.
This has been great. I'll just say this. People, watch how you treat people.
Mm.
And just because you meet someone in 2019 or you start following somebody in 2020, watch yourself because you never know when you may need to speak with them or interview them. As always, people, I like to remind you, not only thank you for watching, thank you for blessing my platform, Sonja, but remember, don't stress too much about yesterday. Don't worry too much about tomorrow, because if we do, we just might miss living today. Have a great one, everybody. Thank you, Sonja.